Okay, well, I
And
I smiled. I got a little smile on my face when you threw it back to Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh, when you mentioned her PR background. What wouldn't you love to be a fly on the wall as Sophie reads some of these magazines and read some of these headlines about Meghan Markle?
Oh, this one's juicy. And honestly, it's a kind of conversation that perfectly captures a mess that is Meghan Markle current branding chaos. So let's unpack it in a laid back, conversational way because there's a lot going on here, and it all ties back to the same fundamental problem.
Let's go into one of the recent articles about Meghan and her latest PR blitz. Um, I would love to know what direction Sophie would have sent her or what advice. I mean, and don't forget, I believe it was either Katie Nichol, I can't remember who exactly reported it. Maybe Valentine Lowe. Somebody reports that the Queen suggested that Sophie work directly with Meghan as a mentor, and Meghan says, "I don't need her. I have Harry to guide me." Sophie would have been the ultimate mentor. I can't stress that enough because here is what some insiders in the industry are saying about Meghan Markle. A source said her PR team are just putting her out there in a hopeful way without a plan. They aren't being discerning and protecting her from herself. It seems they think every media opportunity is a good one, and that's insane. Commenting on the wave of different appearances made by the couple, they added, "There is no strategy here. It is thoughtless and directionless." The source said, one day she is in Paris at a fashion show, positioning herself in that world. And then she shows up in Washington with Fortune magazine and wants to be regarded as a female founder. But she's got nothing to launch, nothing to announce, and nothing to say. It's a mess. They added the Sussexes seem to be spiraling. They are throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Listen to this quote. "I don't understand why she would do a magazine cover. We're hearing it's Harper's Bazaar, not Vogue, when she has nothing coming out. It is evident that either she isn't being advised properly or else she isn't listening. Honestly, whoever is in charge shouldn't be putting this stuff in front of Meghan to protect her from herself." I mean, I do think she's launching makeup. And been saying that for the last 2 weeks now. But still, you haven't proven yourself in any space. Why do you belong on a magazine cover?
well, I don't think she does at the moment. I think, this scattergun approach is, as that article alludes, hopefully find something that might be able to latch onto. But there's no depth to any of these things that she's doing. And the Duchess of Edinburgh would have been an extremely good mentor because it wasn't always plain sailing for her once she joined. There were times when she got herself in a bit of a mess and had to extricate herself from some royal PR that wasn't quite in her favor, but she found a way through it by keeping the most importantly, she kept her head down. She shut up for a bit, just quietly worked her way back, and with the support of her husband, they found that actually their best way forward was being a great support to not only well, to the late Queen and Prince Philip, and hence the reason why they are the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh. But I would suggest that it would have been a great move, but Meghan hasn't got the wherewithal. She came into the royal family thinking that she was going to be the great I am, and I don't need to be told, convinced of her rightness. She's been convinced of her rightness ever since. And that article, as far as I'm concerned, is not far from the truth. It's just, one, as you say, 1 minute just always going. Next minute, she's at some glitzy vegan dinner party that looked the most horrendous night of that anyone could have. So blingy and over the top.
And like
And
when they were
then,
like sponsored by Meghan Markle's wine, Meghan provided the wine. She's got plenty of product to provide since it's not selling out.
well,
there's plenty of wine. Nobody's buying it. Enjoy.
well, exactly. And this is the problem for her. Nothing seems to be working and hitting the ground with any sense of purpose. And it is ridiculous way they're approaching it. And it actually makes Harry look stupid as well because he's got nothing. People were saying to me, "What's Harry do?" Well, I don't know. And obviously he's having his own PR issues. So I think the PR people are saying, again,
Meghan doesn't seem to know what she stands for. We're talking about the latest round of shade aimed at Meghan Markle's business ventures, from a wine brand that apparently nobody's buying, to her endless pivoting between projects that make zero sense. And the funniest, or saddest, depending on how you see it, part, the whole thing is so disorganized it's making Harry look bad, too. Let's talk about that recent business trip to Washington, D.C., the one that was supposed to signal Meghan's pivot into women's empowerment and leadership.
I'm sure anyone who's taken on contractually to work for the Sussexes, he finds it extremely difficult to get and say, this is what we should do. Just let us do this, because I'm sure Meghan probably wakes up the next morning and says, no, I want to go and do this. And it will be absolutely impossible. I mean, I know stories of when she was over here of people saying exactly that. They say, right, you need to do this. Yes, she'd say. And the next day she would do the polar opposite. So in that case, and I don't think her modus operandi has changed at all. And I have to say, listening to the gobbledygook that came out of that trip to New York and that business meeting,
Oh,
I mean,
Fortune.
what was she?
That was in Washington, D.C.
What was she talking about? I mean, the great I am, well, I mean, as ever has flopped. She wants to now move into something else. She's now, I mean, it seems to be what she was talking about is everything good business practices are not about. There's no, I was always told you've got to have a mission, aim, but going back to my military days, you always told, right, what is the primary objective of what you're trying to achieve and how do we get there? And we stick to a plan. It appears that this plan changes with every 5 minutes as to where she wants to go. And that for me is the big problem for the Sussexes.
Well, it's hard to take them seriously when they don't stand for anything. They don't stand for anything specific. They don't, 1 minute she tells us that the jam business started because it was Netflix's idea, pushing all blame on them in case things don't work out. And then in Washington, D.C., she claims that this organically came to her while she was in her Birkenstocks during COVID. There's no stability, there's no consistency except inconsistency, and we don't know what they stand for. Watching Victoria Beckham explain how she accepted that she wasn't the best singer and dancer. She accepted maybe that wasn't the life meant for her, and why she pivoted to fashion and beauty, and how that really was meaningful to her, how she hid behind these clothes and she wanted to give people confidence through their clothing. And, I believed her. I believe in her business because I believed what she was saying. I understood that clear path she took. But with Meghan, it's just like, I'm a gift wrapper. I'm a professional. I do really great gift wrapping. I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. Like, chill out and find something organic and real. Because the jam thing wasn't real either. I think she was trying to change public perception of her. Isn't she sweet? She can't be a bully. She makes jam. Like, no, like you're just trying to make a buck, and it's cheap looking. It's giving Sarah Ferguson, and you're just cheapening the royal family by insisting on you using these titles that you didn't earn.
And by the way, Birkenstock, what's that?
They're fuzzy, ugly shoes. They're fuzzy. I wear them. I wear the hell out of them, but they're ugly.
Okay, fine. Sorry. Once again, showing my complete lack of knowledge of what Birkenstocks are. But anyway, thank you for putting me correct on that. I think the whole thing is just a sham as far as she's concerned. Whereas if you go back to Victoria Beckham, there were peaks and troughs. It didn't, but she stuck to her guns. She found, and financially, the business probably has had its complications,
which she talks about, yes,
and is not ashamed to admit. But right, and any fashion business is extremely hard to make money. I particularly the kind of thing that she does. So it's okay. They're not short of a bob or two, but the fact of the matter is she's stuck to it and is. Look like she has done her very best to tap into something and show what a hard work that is, what it's about. Head down, get on with it, get the best people around you, and then away. For Meghan, she doesn't know how to get the best people around her. And if she does, those best people haven't got the patience to stay around. That's part of the problem. And at the moment, I don't know what if she comes into makeup. I mean, who's doing the research and the quality? Isn't it a saturated market? This,
Well,
for
I'm
makeup.
sure she looks at people like Hailey Bieber, married to Justin Bieber. Really, that's what elevated Hailey Bieber, her marriage to Justin Bieber. Her Rhode Beauty line just sold for $1 million. Selena Gomez's Rare Beauty, which Selena was at that Washington, D.C. Fortune Summit, has made Selena Gomez a billionaire. I think she sees the value in celebrity makeup.
Commentators described her speech as gobbledygook. And honestly, that's not unfair. It sounded like a bunch of buzzwords strung together without any real substance, like she was trying to sound like a thought leader without actually saying anything. One commentator nailed it. Good business practices are about clarity, purpose, and mission. Even in the military, they said, the rule is simple. Know your objective, plan your route, and stick to it.
Gwen Stefani has a celebrity makeup line. I could go on and on with female
Yeah,
celebrities that have a celebrity makeup line. But the difference between them and Meghan is that these people were superstars beyond this, beyond marrying Prince Harry. Hailey Bieber was a supermodel before she married Justin Bieber. Selena Gomez, a pop star, an actress, and a little Disney princess, adorable. Gwen Stefani, no doubt, The Voice. They have a resume full of things that make them influential. Meghan Markle's stops at Prince Harry. Nobody's watching Suits anymore. She doesn't have any other wins beyond her marriage to Prince Harry. Nobody's, as ever, no matter what she says, there's no proof that it is a successful business, especially when people are getting emails saying, sorry, we don't have the product you purchased. Would you like a refund? So I don't know if this is a guaranteed slam dunk for her. And I don't think of her as like some makeup maven. I think your bronzer is too extreme, and I can see the lines on your face where your bronzer ends. I never think, oh my gosh, her makeup looks impeccable. I think fire that makeup person. So I'm surprised that this is the route she's taking.
wasn't that makeup person on
It's
her last?
Daniel. It's
Yeah.
Daniel
Anyway,
who uploaded a video shortly after the Paris trip with all the makeup he used on, with all of the skincare and makeup he used on her, and put some weird caption about trying to get her in a lip, deleted the video. And when people reached out to him, he said, oh, you know what? I'm going to re-upload it later. I actually deleted it because I forgot to use all the products I used on her, which again leads me to believe that Meghan is launching a makeup line, and she told him to delete it because he gave away too much or wasn't giving her brand credit when she wants that credit. And there's this vile video of them backstage in New York getting ready to accept this award. And Meghan says, Happy World Mental Health Day. You always keep me laughing. And she's cackling backstage with Harry, who's kind of like, as he's trying to read over his script under a dim light, like, what the hell is she laughing about? But she's got a little lipstick tube in her hand. And then she gives us a lot of a montage of her putting lipstick on. I'm convinced she is releasing makeup, but
well,
I would die in a fire before I put any of it on my body. I just
I,
I
I'm
just did that documentary where they were like, we bought Megan goodies. Do you want to try it? No, I would rather die in a fire. I value my life.
well, and I'm going back to those other ladies who sold their businesses for good. Is their makeup product any good?
Oh yeah. I mean, I bet you've seen it with I have some of the lip gloss, but I don't have the case, but it's gone viral. Hailey Bieber has designed a case that specifically fits her lip gloss. So you can run around town with your phone case protected and your lip gloss in your phone case. You just pop it out, put your lip gloss on. Brilliant. So clever.
Oh, wait, see, Okay, and again, I'm not the target market, as we know. We're
I
on
think you
fashion
are.
again. Well, as you know, no makeup here. What you see is what you get here. Um, I, I, I'm delighted those individuals have made money, but again, has Meghan put the R&D in to actually producing something that can break through or a already hugely crowded market? And you think these people that you've mentioned, they're tapping into the young girl sort of 20 something 30 something market, and that's why they're there. What's Meghan's target market? Would she get into that 20 something market? Probably not, because outside a small, how does has she got the wherewithal to cash in? What music videos? What's the background? It's easy for Justin Bieber's wife to tap in because Justin's at least an international music star, whatever, and the others do have a reputation and something that can break through, and people go yes. But Meghan, I'm not sure she would break through that target market. Maybe I'm going to be proved wrong if that's where she's going, but she hasn't broken through with the as ever, which was presumably going into the aspirational, people wanting stuff for their house. That didn't work. So why should the makeup line work? Well, maybe, as you say, back to this scattergun approach, maybe this might be one that will hit, but I'm not holding my breath.
Meghan, on the other hand, seems to change direction every 5 minutes. And that's a fatal flaw in her brand. Because if you don't know what your mission is, how can anyone else believe in it? At this point, even Meghan's defenders are struggling to keep up. Remember when she launched her jam and called it a passion project? Well, depending on which interview you listen to, it either started because Netflix told her to do it,